In a news conference closing out APEC, the president says his primary focus at the economic summit was finding ways to create jobs for Americans.
And he says the Pacific Rim countries are the key to making that happen. Speaking at the Ihilani Resort, President Obama told a crowd of international media he and leaders from around the Asia-Pacific region are rebuilding the groundwork to grow and heal ailing world economies, including ours.
I want them to be buying goods with 3 words stamped on them: made in America. We try to set up rules that are universal, and then we compete fiercely.
He says APEC leaders agreed to simplify customs and exemptions from certain tariffs to boost business and trade. That includes a new, easier-to-get-around travel card for businesses traveling within APEC countries. And he says they agreed to reduce tariffs on environmental goods and services to create green jobs.
Dignitaries, their administrations, and of course dozens of members from the international media. The APEC entourage has definitely caused a lot of buzz in the last week.
But Chinese journalists were actually being restricted in what they cover here in Honolulu. And joining us over Skype with more on this is civilbeat.com editor John Temple. Good morning, John. And really, restrictions on what they could say?
Absolutely. I mean, the Chinese journalists were honest with us when we asked to embed with them that they could not cover the Falun Gong protesters. And realistically, these were the protesters in yellow shirts. They were the most visible protesters during APEC, and the journalists said they would get into trouble if they wrote about it or even appeared on a site that wrote about it, and could lose their job because their work was being monitored.
Well, it reminds you how lucky we are here in the United States, and we just take our media privileges for granted sometimes. But let's talk about musician Makana's performance and his protest in front of the APEC leaders, including President Barack Obama. I think if he sang his protest song in China, he would definitely be arrested, don't you think?
Well, the thing I think to remember is what was on his shirt. You know, he said, "Occupy with Aloha," and that has such ambiguity. I mean, it's kind of a warm and it's kind of funny. And I think he was background music, so I'm not sure that he wasn't an in-your-face protester. He wasn't, you know, Rage Against the Machine. He was kind of quiet so, you know, I'm not sure that I think he did it in a way that was gentle, and maybe he did it with Aloha.
That's true. That's one way to put it. I mean, I guess if you didn't even really hear, if nobody really heard it, then I don't know if that's flattery or not.
Yeah, they might have heard it in the background. You know, that's the strangest concept is, let's have background music while we talk. Well, this background music actually had some profound meaning, or at least in the eyes of the composer it did. So, you know, it makes for a very interesting story, I think. And Makana definitely thrust himself into the headlines. He was on CNN, and it's been picked up all over the place. And he spoke about it with humor and gently, but it's very serious. I mean, it was something that came from his heart, and it clearly sent a message.
It certainly did, and Makana played for about 45 minutes. The president, though, was really engrossed in that conversation. But it is a fascinating story. John Temple, thank you so much for covering those stories, and we will see you later in the week.
And you can find a complete story we just discussed on civilbeat.com. The time now is 6:38. We'll be right back.